Hello everyone! Today we are going to be making a Cove forest tree and it's going to be a little bit different. This one is going to be 3D. It's a little bit plush, kind of like a mini little pillow that you can hang up if you like, or you can leave this off and kind of just use it as a decorative object in your house. So it's really fun to create something like this. So we've been talking a lot about the Cove forest, and in the Cove forest we have a lot of deciduous trees, which mean they lose their leaves in the winter. And so today we are going to get started. So I'm just going to go over the materials you will need. First of all, you will need some scissors, either a glue pen or liquid glue, either one works. A Sharpie will be helpful, a needle, some embroidery thread, several colors of felt or fabric will work. If you have a variety of fabric, that will also work. This is some fiber fill, which will go inside of the tree. And then these tree shapes, you should have got an example of those in your art box. Alrighty. So to get started today, the first thing I need to do is I need to pick out a tree shape that I would like to create out of the felt. So right here I've kind of made an abstracted shape, kind of similar to this oval shape, but for mine that I'm going to make today, I might make something more along this line. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is you want to take your large piece of dark green felt. If you have a variety of colors that aren't exactly like mine, that is totally fine and will look just as wonderful. So this is a kind of a large piece of fabric. What you want to do is you want to fold it in half, and then you want to draw your tree shape on this piece of felt on just one side. So I know that this is a little bit dark, so you might not be able to see my shape when I'm drawing it, but I'm going to draw it and then quickly cut it out. All right, now I have my two tree shapes. And as you can see, they are the same because I kept the two pieces of the fabric folded in half. When I was cutting, I also made sure that I cut really slow, held my felt very tight, and I tried to use the middle of the scissors where they open up. If I try to cut at the very end, lots of times the scissors are a little bit more weaker, or they're not as sharp. So I want to try to open my scissors up all the way and use the area closer to the middle to actually do the cutting. All right, now we are going to sew a whip stitch around the edge of the tree. So a whip stitch is very simple. First of all, I'm going to take my needle, and what I need to do first is I need to thread the needle with this embroidery thread. It's a little bit thicker and more durable, and it looks really nice when you can see it looped around the edges. So what I do is I just hold my needle with one hand and I carefully push the embroidery thread through the eye of the needle, or the little hole that is in the needle. If this is a little bit difficult for you, or you try several times, you can ask a parent or a friend or a sibling that's in the house to help you thread the needle. Now at this point, I have the short end, it's on there, but I really want to make sure that my needle stays in place for this project and the thread doesn't come off the needle. So we're actually going to unravel all the embroidery thread. Which may seem like a lot, but I promise you will use most of it. I'm going to pull my needle all the way to the middle. And then I'm going to tie a knot in the very end of my thread. Now I'm ready to begin my whip stitch. Now a whip stitch is very simple. All you do is you go through you push your needle through the back of the shape, and then you bring it around and you continue to do that. So let me show you. I'm going to start right here at this edge. I am going to push the needle up through the edge, through both pieces. You guys see how there are two pieces there. I'm going to pull it all the way till that knot catches and I can't pull it out anymore. Now I'm just going to repeat it, but I'm going to move my needle a little bit further down the shape. So I'm going to go to the back again. I'm going to push straight up. And when I pull the thread all the way through this time, you can see it kind of like whips around the edge of the shape. So I'm just going to continue to do that all the way along the edge of my tree. But I want to leave an area so that I can stuff the tree with this fiber fill. If I don't leave a big enough hole, it won't be able to fit inside there. So I want to make sure that I leave myself plenty of room to push this inside. All right, and I'm going to get to it and start sewing. Okay, so at this point, I have a good amount of room left where I can fill my deciduous cove tree fill it with this fiber fill. I've left my needle attached to the yarn. We're just going to put that kind of to the side, and right now I'm going to take this and I might start with something small. If your trunk is big enough, you might actually be able to wedge a little bit of fiber fill down into the trunk. If not, like with this one, there's no fiber down in the trunk. All right, so just kind of like stuff it inside. I'm gonna fill it all the way up. All right, now it's a little bit more open, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of press it down tight with one hand, hold it down tight, and then I'm gonna finish sewing all the way to the start. Alright, I'm back to the beginning and my needle is on the front side of my tree, but I kind of want to go ahead and tie the knot on the back like I did at the beginning. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm in the front, I'm just going to poke the needle right back through, and it's now on the back with a little stitch there. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to cut the needle off the thread, and now I'm going to tie a knot in these two last strings. All right, now I can trim off my extra strings. Okay, so now we have a plush little forest tree. Very cool. The next step is to kind of add some decoration to it. This one is much taller than this one, but that's okay. I have used my lighter shade of green felt and cut out little leaves on here, and I've used this brown to actually cut out the trunk and glue it on top. All you need is some liquid glue to attach it. It will need to dry before you try to move it or do anything with it, but once you glue the shapes on, they're good and stuck, and that one needs to be glued down again. Make sure you use plenty of glue so that they stay in place. All right, let's see. See, this one is nice and stuck. So is this one, and the trunk is as well. Okay. As you can see, I've also added a couple of flowers on my tree because there are lots of deciduous trees that actually have flower blooms, especially in the spring, like a dogwood or a cherry tree. And so that is an option, or you could use a white piece of felt to actually cut out little eyes and use your Sharpie to draw on the eyes if you'd like to. All right, I'm going to cut out all my accessories and then kind of not accessories. I'm going to cut out all my leaves and flowers and trunk, and then I'll show you how to glue them on. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and glue on all my leaves and a couple of my flowers. So, all I have to do is put down a little dot of glue, or kind of like a medium-sized dot of glue, because I really want my leaves to stick. And I'm just going to press them on. And maybe you have a couple of leaves kind of attached, and then you can spread out the rest of them. And remember, leaves do point in all different directions, so that will be just fine. I'm going to go ahead and add a leaf right here, or I mean a flower. And you can add as many leaves as you think fit on your tree. You can even have any coming off the side a little bit more. Last flower. And now I'm going to show you how to do the trunk. So this is a much bigger piece than you will need, but what I like to do is I like to kind of lay it on top and see approximately how big of a rectangle I need. So it needs to go down to right about there, and then it doesn't need to be bigger than that. So I'm just going to eyeball it and cut out what I think would be the best shape, and I can always affix it later. So that's about right. I'm gonna trim off a little bit more over here so it kind of looks like the shape of a trunk. The trunks are usually curved. They get wider towards the bottom most of the time. All right, let's see if that works. And there we go. We have a trunk that fits right inside the whip stitch on either side. And there you have it. You have a plush Cove forest tree. And if you would like to do a little bit more research about what type of tree you would like to make, you could always look up online certain trees that are in a Cove forest and make a very specific one. I'm going to say that this one is a dogwood. Alrighty guys, if you have a little bit of extra embroidery thread and you want to add a string to yours, you can certainly do that. I actually only have a tiny little bit, so it'd be a little bit hard to attach it, but actually it's in 2 pieces, so that would be very hard to attach. If you have any extra, then you could, or maybe you have some other thread or string laying around the house you could use to create a little loop if you'd like to hang it somewhere in a window on the wall. But there you have it. So I hope you enjoy this lesson. It's always fun to make something sculptural out of fabric, and yes. So have an awesome time making this and send us your pictures. Thanks.